But here's the thing with a chill week, Corey.
Oh.
There's no inspiration for a character profile.
Ah, I see.
So I decided in my infinite wisdom that if the internet is not going to make it easy for me to know who to talk about, I'm just going to choose someone I want to talk about.
I was going to say, you're going to pick one of your favorite.
Yeah. So in the essence of that guy on TikTok, what if I told you Yuval Thorne had that dog in him? So I will do his initial character profile, and then there's a couple of changes that have happened because in 2011 DC did a big old reboot which launched the New 52.
Yep.
As a result of that, a lot of characters have changed. This is the Reverse Flash I think of when I think of the Reverse Flash, which is pre-2011, but I
Right.
will give the additional information about the new one afterwards. So this
Okay.
isn't all accurate in the comics as of now, as far as I know. So the Reverse Flash, aka Professor Zoom, aka Eubard Thorne. He is originally from the 25th century, and he was genetically designed essentially by his parents to be super intelligent.
Okay.
However, this kind of meant he lacked any social skills, and he was just kind of a bit of a daydreamer. And this concerned his parents a great deal. And in, once again, their infinite wisdom, they decided if they were to design him a little brother, maybe that would allow him to flourish.
Ah. The only
This
child
did not
syndrome.
happen. So after years of him having to look after his little brother and his little brother always getting in his way and him detesting his little brother essentially, he eventually finished school and he applied to the Flash Museum where he wanted to study the Flash and the Speed Force.
Okay.
But as a result of his brother intervening, he did not get that scholarship. At which point, a Eubard from the future travelled back in time and erased his brother from ever existing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And this became a bit of a pattern in Eubard's life. Anytime anything didn't go how he wanted it to, a future version of himself
Would fix it.
would go back in time and normally stop the person from being born.
Oh.
This included someone getting promoted ahead of him. This also included him. He didn't go back in time to kill his own parents because then they wouldn't have been able to have him.
Yeah.
But he did kill them off after they'd had him and after he'd already graduated, so it didn't affect him too much because they were going to shut down the museum.
Right.
And then he fell in love.
Ah.
But this woman did not love him.
Oh, dear.
She was engaged.
Oh, dear.
So he went back in time and made sure her fiance never existed. And then when she dated another man, he did the same thing and the same thing and the same thing until eventually he was the only man really left that she knew. And then when she still rejected him, he went back in time to when she was a child and traumatized her so badly that she became mute and got locked up in an insane asylum.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh.
But now that everyone was out of his way, he could focus on his research of the Flash and the Speed Force. So that's what he did. And eventually, he was able to replicate the accident that gave the Flash his powers. And once he had these powers, he ran and travelled back in time to meet his hero. However, he accidentally arrived a couple of years after Barry had already died.
Ah.
Upon that, he decided to go to the Flash Museum. And it was there he realised that he was destined to be the villain, not the worthy successor to the Flash.
I get you.
So for a little while, he kind of pretended he was Barry after getting some facial reconstruction surgery to look like Barry Allen.
Cringe.
And worked as the Flash for a little while before Wally West outed him. But this is where it gets really fucking wild, and this will be the stuff that a lot of people already be kind of aware of, because this is the stuff that gets spoken about on TikTok, and this is why Reverse Flash is the biggest menace in comic book history. after many years, we eventually had Flashpoint, which is this huge comic book crossover event that reset the DC universe in places, and that the Flash film coming up is based on. During that, we learn that U-Bod wanted to erase Barry from ever existing.
Right.
But in doing so, it would erase U-Bod.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because of the Speed Force
Well, yeah.
no longer existing, U-Bod could never have got them powers.
Yeah.
So, what he did instead was make Barry miserable. And he did this in a number of ways. To start with, he went back in time and made it so Barry's childhood best friends all never existed.
Right.
So this made Barry a very lonely child. And we find this out during Flashpoint. So we've always been led to believe that Barry was a really lonely social outcast child, but actually he wasn't supposed to be. That was all U-Bod's doing. He made it so that if he was playing any sports, he'd miss catches. He'd destroy his hobbies. He would make it so something went wrong in big moments of his life, so that he was always miserable and outcast and hated. And then eventually this all crescendoed in him killing Barry's mother.
Okay.
So it turns out, and again, we don't know this at the time. This was like one of the great kind of retcons ever. That everything bad that basically ever happened to Barry was Reverse Flash's fault.
Okay. The long con.
Yes, and here's the beauty of it. Because of the way they're built, Reverse Flash can never kill Barry in the past.
Yeah.
Because then he wouldn't exist in the future. So U-Bod can't kill Barry. He can just do everything he can to make his life miserable. And I mean, he succeeds for the most part.
Yeah.
But and that is why Reverse Flash is probably like the greatest ever villain. Yeah, the Joker's good. Reverse Flash is better.
Absolute menace.
Absolute menace.
A menace across multiple time zones.
Yeah. So the only real changes after the New 52 were the U-Bod's parents didn't genetically create him, as far as I can tell. He was born more normally, but his parents died and he was left an orphan.
Right.
Then he became obsessed with the Flash as a hero, which is kind of how Barry became obsessed with Jay Garrick's Flash as well. So there's a bit like a
mirroring.
Yeah. He went to the Flash Museum. He worked his way up. He developed his powers as the Flash, and he wanted to be a hero like the Flash. Again, like Barry did. The difference is, in the 25th century, there wasn't a lot of need for superheroes.
Right, yeah.
So then what we got, I can't remember what it's always called, but I think it's sometimes referred to as a savior complex.
Right.
Where he would essentially create these really dangerous and scary situations that put people in danger.
I can save you.
Just so he could save them.
Right.
So in this world, Barry accidentally ran into the future where he met U-Bod and they became friends. They worked alongside each other. But then eventually Barry discovered that U-Bod had been doing this and creating these problems himself so he could be a hero, at which point Barry put him in prison.
Right.
While he was in prison, U-Bod became even more obsessed with earning his approval. And then when he eventually got out of prison and went back in time to show Barry that he'd improved as a person, he was ready to actually be a hero now, he saw Barry giving Wally the same speech Barry had given him, and he no longer felt special, so it turned him into a villain. Again, not a bad origin.
No.
And he's still batshit crazy and hates everything and everyone.
And still an absolute menace.
An absolute menace. So there we go. That is the Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I didn't quite realise how much of a psycho he was.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I want to be so... as haters go, he's the goated hater.
He is...
No hater could ever top him.
This is true.
They say the Joker's so obsessed with Batman. I'm sorry, no. No. The Reverse Flash is more obsessed with the Flash.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Do Do you know what one of the biggest compliments of the CW is?
What's that?
In one of the crossovers, I think it was the one where they go to a Nazi planet. So there's a crossover where they end up on essentially a Nazi version of Earth, where Supergirl and Oliver have grown up in a Nazi state, and they're both Nazis.
I think I missed that episode.
Yeah. So Reverse Flash ends up on that Earth, and he isn't from that Earth, but still teams up with the Nazis just to fuck Barry over.
That's some dedication.
Like on this, everyone who's like a big fan of the comics kind of saw that and were like, that is the most on-brand thing ever. That is exactly what he do. Oh, you guys want to hurt him? Okay, cool. Guess I'm a Nazi now. And I shit you not. Obviously, the lightning bolt kind of looks a bit sus when you've got a second one right next to it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go.